Introduction to Pathways of the Heavens. The true definition of Kabbalah is the understanding the set of actions the Creator used in creating the world, and the actions He uses in sustaining the world. A collection of all of these principles and systems is what is called the wisdom of Kabbalah. All of the actions of the Creator are through the 10 spheres. The spheres are spiritual entities, and we cannot understand their true essence, just as we cannot understand the true essence of our Creator. This is because the spheres are an extension of part of the Creator's light that extends into His actions in order to act, to bestow blessing, or the opposite. Even though we cannot understand their essence, we can still know that they exist, and we can understand their actions. The names of the 10 spheres are Keser, which means crown, Chochmah, which means wisdom, Bina, which means understanding. Sometimes the sphere of Das is counted, when it is, Keser is not counted. Das means knowledge. Next comes Chesed, which means kindness, Gvura, which means strength, Tiferes, which means glory, Netzach, which means eternity, Hod, which means beauty, Yesod, which means foundation, and Malchus, which means kingship. The 10 spheres are also divided into a different type of division, called the 5 Partzufim, which means faces. In the division of the Partzufim, the sphere Keser is called Aychampin, which means long face. The sphere of Chachma is called Abba, which means father. The sphere of Bina is called Ima, which means mother. The 6 spheres, Chesed, Gvur, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, and Yesod come together to make one Partzuf, called Zeampin, which means small face, and the sphere of Malchus is called Nukva, which means female. Every world has 10 spheres, and every one of the spheres is also made up of 10 spheres. And every one of those 10 are made up of yet another 10, and so on until infinity. Similarly, every single thing in the world is made up of 10 spheres. The 10 spheres correspond to the 4-letter name of Hashem. The tip of the Yud of this name corresponds to Keser, the body of the Yud to Chachma, the first Hey to Bina, the Vav to the 6 spheres Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, and Yesod, and the last Hey to Malchus. Kabbalah discusses the 4 major worlds, which are called Atzilus, which means emanation, Bria, which means creation, Yetzira, which means formation, and Asiya, which means action. Atzilus is the world of godliness, and the world of Bria is called the world of the throne. Yetzira is the world of angels, and Asiya is this lower world. In each one of these worlds, there are 10 spheres which are also divided into 5 Partzufim, which is pure godliness, as we explained. And in the other 3 worlds, there is also the light of the creations, which are also divided according to the division of the 10 spheres and 5 Partzufim. This is true for all of the creations in existence. The Neshamah, which is the soul, is divided into 5 aspects. They are called Nefesh, Ruach, Neshamah, Chaya, and Yechida. Nefesh comes from Nukva, Ruach from Zeampin, Neshamah from Ima, Chaya from Abba, and Yechida from Aychampin. There is also a type of Neshamah that comes from the world of Asiya, and they are called Nefashos, even though they consist of all of the 5 aspects of the Neshamah. There are some Neshamas that come from the world of Yetzira, and they are called Ruchos. From the world of Bria are called Neshamos. From Atzilus are called Neshamos of the Neshamos. It is very important to realize that there are no upper lights that do not relate to a certain part of the human body, and that there is no part of the human body that doesn't relate to the upper lights. This fact is the foundation of the secret of our service of the Creator, since every type of light that Hashem set up for this world has a corresponding mitzvah, which is a law or commandment of the Torah, which is made to reveal that specific light. The purpose of these mitzvahs are to attach the part of our soul which corresponds to that mitzvah to the light that the mitzvah reveals. When this is done correctly, the light comes down into that part of the person's soul, and a pipeline is opened between that part of the soul and that upper light. When all these pipelines are opened up, then the world will come to be totally perfected. This, however, must be done completely by every part of every Jewish soul. All the creatures in the world also come from the upper lights. And there is no creature that does not have a source in the upper lights, and there is no light that doesn't have a creature corresponding to it. Consequently, there is no creature in the world that doesn't have a corresponding part in the human body, and there is no part of the human body that does not have a creature in the world corresponding to it. Similarly, there is no action that a man can do that does not have its parallel in the upper lights, and there is no action in the upper lights that do not have its parallel in man. The nature of each of the upper lights are different from one another. Each one performs different actions on the lower worlds. Some bestow plenty and some take away. Some strengthen and some weaken. And so on for all the different actions in existence. The main nature of any light can be broken down into chesed, din, and rachamim, which is kindness, justice, and mercy, which are the three basic ingredients that Hashem uses in running the world. Chesed is plenty, free giving. Din is withholding and hiding away. And rachamim is the balance between the two. All of the lights are made up of these three only. The only difference between them is that in some of them, chesed is the overpowering factor, and in others din, and in others rachamim. Still, amongst all of the lights, there will never be one exactly the same as another. Looking at the 10 spheres according to the principle of chesed, din, and rachamim, we will find that they are divided into 3 kavim, lines or columns. Chachma, chesed, and netzach is called the kav of chesed, meaning the spheres in this kav have an overpowering attribute of chesed. This kav is on the right side. Bina, gvura, and hod are the kav of din, and they have an overpowering attribute of din. And keser, tiferes, and yesod are the kav of rachamim, and they have an overpowering attribute of rachamim, and malchus includes all of them. It must be understood that everything that we say about the upper worlds that may sound like physicality is not to be taken literally. There is no physicality whatsoever in the upper worlds. Even the angels are not physical. Every time we use physical terms, we must understand the deeper intent behind the words. Like, for example, our topic of left, right, and center is not at all referring to the place the spheres take up in space, since they don't take up any space. Rather, it's referring to their relationship to chesed, din, and rachamim. If it is on the right, you know that it is associated to chesed, on the left to din, and in the center to rachamim. We will now explain some of the actions or states of the spheres. Sometimes the spheres have hispashtus, which is an extension or spreading out of their light. Hislabshus, which is a dressing up one light inside the next. Chibur, which means an attachment of one sphere to another. And sometimes they go up, and sometimes they go down. Even though all these actions or states may sound very much like the spheres are a physical thing, in truth, each one of these actions are referring to something much deeper, as we will explain. Hispashtus is an extension or spreading out of the light, is to be understood that there is now a new revelation of action. Hislabshus, which is the dressing up of one light inside the other, is to be understood that the light that is being worn is acting according to the movements or lead of the light that is dressing up in it. This is much like a person wearing a glove. The movements of the glove are none other than an extension of the movements of the hand wearing the glove. Chibur which is an attachment of one sphere to another, is to be understood that there is a combination of actions acting as one. When they go up and down, you must understand that they are being strengthened or weakened. All of these actions take place at different times and in different ways. The spheres must be united and interconnected in a certain way, which we will explain. This way was designed by the Creator, and it is our mitzvahs and good deeds that cause a completion of this order. The order is as follows. Keser is the source and root of all other spheres. Chachma and Bina are bound with Keser, and they have a great attachment to each other. They are also both attached to the 6 lower spheres, and the 6 lower spheres are attached to Malchus. When the spheres are attached one to another in this way, the whole world will be in a good state. Blessing and plenty will fill the world, and there will be nothing lacking. However, if one of these connections are missing, then there will continue to be lacking here in this world. Not all of these connections can be broken by our bad deeds. Hashem made it so that the connection between the first 3 spheres, Keser, Chachma, and Bina, will never be broken, and consequently our actions are not needed to connect them. However, not following the mitzvahs can cause the light of Malchus to shine only a little bit, and to stop the 6 lower spheres from attaching themselves to Malchus. Also, Chachma and Bina won't attach to the 6 lower spheres. Still, Chachma and Bina will always shine and be attached forever. This light will sustain the world and stop it from being destroyed. Only the pleasantness and blessing is dependent on the connection of Chachma and Bina to the 6 lower spheres, and the connection of the 6 lower spheres to Malchus.